I've been working with Paul for a little while to help people figure out a more affordable way to find talent. And we talked about maybe doing a seminar, a webinar, something about hiring. And as we've gotten more into AI, Paul's using some AI tools that I really like. That's one of the reasons I met him. And I thought we'd have this little webinar about hiring myths and using AI to recruit. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's talking to you from Hawaii. So Paul, it's all
Right.
yours now.
That's why my background's appropriate, right?
Right.
So today I'm going to cover the 6 myths of hiring and how to use AI to recruit. I guess the question is, why listen to me, right? Well, I've been in this business for about 40 years, actually 50, but that makes me really old. I don't want to say that. And I've worked with thousands of contractors over the time. And what I found out is about 4 or 5 years ago, my clients couldn't find employees. I could get them from, 2 to 10 million because I'm really good at marketing and stuff, but they couldn't find employees. So my first thought was, well, what I'll do is I'll just find some really cool state-of-the-art software and give it to my clients and have them do it themselves. That did not work. They totally screwed it up. So I put a guy in my garage and said, okay, I want you to do recruiting for my clients because they're not really good at doing it themselves. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. Now the company's grown a lot. We have 30 plus people on the staff. We run 400 to 500 job ads a day. We go to 3,000 to 4,000 resumes a week. And last year or so, we went through we've hired 1,000 people. We had to go through 300,000 resumes to find them. So I've learned a lot about what works and doesn't work in recruiting. And the good news is we have a 95% chance of people staying, which is amazing in construction. And I think we do that because I've actually cracked the system and learned how to do it. So in this webinar today, I'm going to show how you can do it yourself, so you can use us to do it for you. But there's some things I found that are absolutely key. The first one is, what is your definition of the worst employee? In my opinion, the worst employee is, hold on here, someone who is not bad enough to fire and who is not good enough to keep, right? Those kill your organization. And if you're listening to this webinar, I would think about of the people that work for you. Is there anybody that works for you that you wouldn't rehire if you started your company over? You should probably fire them. And the next one is, if there's anybody in your company, when you get a phone call from them or you go an email, you go, oh, it's John. There's a sinking feeling in your stomach like, oh, it's him again. You should probably fire that guy. And I'll explain how you do that later. So moving along, the key challenges in today's labor market are, I'm going to go with these really quickly. Aging workforce, indirect competition from talent pool, gen set mindset, and limited belief mindset. So let's talk about the aging workforce. This is the bad news. Sometimes it's called the gray tsunami, which I hate to call it that. The average worker in construction is 43 years old, and it's getting older all the time. And it was like 10 years ago, it might have been 23. So people are getting older and older. And unfortunately, kids coming up don't want to be plumbers or electricians. They want to be YouTubers. And so the workforce is getting older and it's getting harder to find people. There's also what's called the gig economy. This is a labor market is heavily temporary. COVID really messed this up because people want to have, their job, make them feel good. They want to, they want to be part-time. They want to work remotely. They want to be independent. They don't care about job security. And when I was a kid, worker be fired kind of thing was fine, but that doesn't work anymore. So people are looking for those special jobs that make them feel good. Things like that go with that, less swayed by income. They're significantly physically weaker. I thought this was an interesting statistic. Men in 1985, grip strength was about 117 pounds. And today it's 98 pounds and it's dropping as we speak. Because people, instead of working in their yards, are sitting on their computers all day, especially younger people, my kid included. So people are getting weaker. That is not the good news. The next one is, well, I'm going to go to what I call the limiting beliefs. This is what gets you in trouble and why you're probably not doing a good job recruiting. The first one is only recruit when you need somebody. I can't believe that, that's just the way most contractors think. I need a project manager. I'll put an ad in, I'll hire the guy, and then I'm done. And that is not a good idea. That's one big limiting belief. The second one is employees are expensive. I can't afford that guy. It's too much money. And so they don't hire people because they, quote, can't afford them. The next one is, we can do the recruiting ourselves. How hard is it to do recruiting? You put an ad in Craigslist, you call the guy a week later, and you're good. That's why the construction industry, about half the people don't work out, because they try to do it themselves. The next one is recruit within the construction industry. Not necessarily a good idea. And I'm going to go why that's not a good idea later. The next one is, this one kills you. Hire fast and fire slow. Because I'll show you why the opposite is true. But most people, hey, I need that guy, I'm going to hire him. We're all good. And the last one is, it's like recruiting is a project that ends. Unfortunately, I'll explain why most people think that, but it is not the way the world works. It isn't a project that ends. So let's go to, I'm going to call them the hiring realities, okay? The first one is, if I can get back here, you should always be recruiting. Never stop recruiting. You're trying to build a team, right? And give me one sports team that doesn't recruit all the time. It's just the way it is. And when you look at most companies, I say, what's your recruiting budget? And they go, what do you mean recruiting budget? They don't even have one. The next one is, they also say, well, I need somebody, I'll recruit him and we're done. It doesn't work that way. So the truth is, you should always be recruiting, and because nothing's more important than your team. Your team is the most valuable asset you've got. And for some reason, people think, oh, I'm just going to recruit when I need somebody. I'm not going to recruit when it ends. It's not true. You should always be recruiting. If you're not, you're missing the boat because you can't build a good team. The next one is, employees are expensive. You can't make money without employees. Think about it. No employees, no revenue, unless you're one guy in a truck. And the reason that happens a lot of times is, I'll take a company that, say, you work with, or we work with, and they're paying their project manager, say, $90,000 a year. Now they go to look for another project manager. They realize the current market for project manager is $110,000 a year, because they haven't kept up with current wages. So now when they look at hiring a new project manager, they go, oh my God, I'm underpaying all the people I've got for the market value. And it's hard to bring somebody in at the current market value, because they got to give everybody else a raise. So one way to end that is make sure that you're giving your current employees what they should earn. Because if you don't, they can leave and go someplace else. And you don't want that to happen. So you will never make money without employees. So employees are probably the best investment you're going to make. Next one, outsource your recruiting. I mean, my guess is you don't fix your own car, because if you don't have a computer, you can't fix it. You don't do your own accounting. And if you're a general contractor, you probably use electricians and use, plumbers, use specialty people. It's a skill. I mean, as I said, I think we've hired 3,000 people. You've hired 3. We're way better at than you are. So I don't confuse us or somebody else, but it's really not good to think you can do it yourself, because you should outsource that. There's different projects and different ways of doing it. I'll explain how we work, but don't think you can do it yourself, because when you look at the construction industry, the common complaint is there's no good people out there. I can't find anybody. Can't find plumbers, can't find electricians, can't find project managers. That's not the truth. You just don't know how to find them, because we find people all the time working. I think we've worked for, pick a number, 300 contractors. We usually never have a problem finding somebody. The only problem we have is if you're literally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if you're in the middle of Canada, there's no town for 600 miles, that's a problem. Or if you're not realistic in your expectations, you say, I had a client the other day, I want to find a killer project manager and estimator. I'm in Los Angeles, I want to pay $95,000 a year. It's not going to happen, because the market's $120,000. So if you are realistic in your expectations about what you're looking for, what you're willing to pay, and you're anywhere there's people, you should outsource your recruiting, because you can find good people. The next one is find exceptional talent outside the construction industry. I can't tell how many people that come to us and say they have to have construction experience. I'm not hiring an office manager unless she worked in a construction office. I'm not hiring a selection coordinator unless she's worked with architects. I'll give you a couple examples where we found amazing people outside the industry. A good example is a wedding planner. I mean, wedding planners make killer office managers and also selection coordinators. Because you think about the talent of a wedding planner. You've got a bunch of, flaky is part of a bad word, marginal career paths, like bands. You got the band, you got the flower person, you got the venue, you got the catering person. All those people, which are, hard, like herding cats, have to show up at the right place at the right time. It's got to look good. It's got to come off well, and everybody needs to be happy. It sounds like a construction project to me. And the person that has that talent can easily move into the construction industry. It's not a problem. So look for people outside the industry. What I always suggest you do in your job ads, you put construction industry, experience preferred but not required, because you're eliminating a bunch of really talented people. So I said we've hired last year, so 1,000 people, and a lot of them were not in the construction industry and just killed the job, because who you are is way more important than what you know. The next one is hire slow and fire fast. Let me go back one. That is going to kill you, because if you hire slow and fire fast, that's what the right way to do it. Because a person who doesn't fit your corporate values can kill your organization. An example would be, let's say you haven't been recruiting all the time. You get a new project. You go, I really need this project manager. I need him yesterday. So you put an ad in Craigslist. You take the second warm body that shows up because it looks decent. You put him in your company. Now he doesn't quite match your corporate values. He steals only occasionally, and he shows up late just some of the time. And let's say he doesn't tell the truth all the time and he offends the client. What's going to happen? You may have spent years building your corporate culture where everybody, they're honest, they care about people. We have all these values that take years and years to establish. Now you bring this guy in who doesn't share those values. So he shows up late. People go, oh, we have a new system here. You don't have to be here on time. He lies only occasionally. He lied and he works for the same guy I do. Next one is he stole the nail gun. Well, I guess that's okay because the boss hired the guy. That can kill your corporate culture. You have no idea how bad a bad hire can mess up your company. Besides that, they cost you a lot of money if they don't work out anyway. So you've got to hire slow. Take your time. Find the right people. If you're recruiting all the time, you'll always have that bench to work from. You'll have qualified employees. You don't have to hire fast because you've got somebody you've picked months to find. And on the average, it takes us 3 months to find a good person and 300 resumes. So you just can't hire the first guy you see. The second thing is fire fast, because that person is going to kill your corporate culture. You do not want to do that. And so if you've got anybody in your company now, we talked about earlier, who's, not bad enough to fire, good enough to keep, please let them go. They're causing you way more much damage than you know. And I know you all have it. One of those people in your company is my guess. The one that's in your mind right now, I guess it's that guy, right? So you should probably let them go because they're causing way more damage than you can do. And unfortunately, these people stay around for years. I've been a coach for like 40 years, and I can tell you I've had some people, yeah, he's John. 1 week John is great, 1 week John is bad. And we've literally talked about John for 3 years coaching him, and they never got rid of John, and they should have done it years ago. And you may notice when you finally have the guts to fire the guy or woman that's not doing the job, everything gets better. And you realize all the things they shouldn't have done that they did and the damage they were causing. So please hire slow and fire fast. The next one is, unlike a project, recruiting is an ongoing process. Don't ever stop recruiting. You've heard the saying that if you a hammer, everything is a nail. Well, if you got into construction, the chances are you believe everything has a start, a beginning, and an end. So when you look at a project, all projects have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You look at recruiting like a project. So it has a beginning. Oh, I lost my project manager. I have to get a new one. A middle, I will hire somebody. An end, I'm done. We're finished recruiting. It's not the way it works. You've got to be recruiting all the time. It's not a project that ends. Okay. So if you can get rid of those, myths, I think you'll find it way easier to hire people. So next, let's go to the art of the best practices. Now, we've hired thousands of people. I've learned what works and what doesn't work. 95% of them work out, and it isn't by any accident. It's a process that we use that you can use yourself if you want to, that actually guarantees the results you're looking for. So first, there's the art of the job ad, where to post the ads, respond in hours, not days. And let me go through, I'm going to go through this a little bit. I'm going to go through sort of one by one, okay? There's the art of the job ad. Now, the art of the job ad is, let me go back for a second. Go back here a little bit. So you post, when you write the job ad, you make sure that it is an ad. It is not it's not a job description. So a lot of people write job descriptions. The thing is, the purpose of the job ad is to get the person to quit their job ad and come to work for somebody else, right? You. So if your ad isn't strong enough to get somebody to quit their job and come to work for you, then you're not doing it right. Where to post the job ads? You post them everywhere. When we post a job ad, it goes to 100 websites, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere you can possibly put it, it goes everywhere. Since we're a recruiting company, we actually search those databases. Where are you going to get your 300 candidates? So you've got to post it everywhere. Now, this is the hardest part, the next one. Respond in hours, not in days. That's tough. We get 3,000 or 4,000 applicants a week and respond to all of them in real time. That's why I have so many people working for us. So the minute the guy's going down the thing going, apply, 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 and Indeed. When he hits apply and you're working with our company, we get immediately back to them and say, hey, thanks for applying. It's sort of like if you have clients, if you're a plumbing contractor or say, you have a plumbing company and people are going down Google and you don't answer the phone, you're done. So it's the same thing here. There's a very short life of employees. This is not easy, but I'm telling you, it's critical. And that's why it's probably good to outsource this, because you're not going to respond to 300 people in real time, which is what you need to do. The next one is a pre-employment assessment. I'm going to go over this stuff in more detail later. A pre-employment assessment, if you do it right, you'll know more about them than their mom. We have some really good assessments. We can show you how that works. And then you do video interviews. We have a way to do video interviews. You do reference checks and do background checks. And actually, you can't miss any of those and make it work. Also, you develop key performance indicators, you document everything, you set expectations, and do employee reviews. Let them architect their own success. This is the basics of what you need to do, and my guess is most of you are not doing in order to ensure the success of your hiring process. So let's move this along. So let's take a deep dive on how AI can help you do this stuff, all right? It's gotten easier with AI, not simple, but it has gotten a lot easier. So write a job ad to attract the right candidate. So let's talk about a job ad is not a job description, it's an ad. The purpose of it is to get the person to quit their job and come to work for you. I talked about earlier, you've got to do it right. So, and next, when you post on job boards, these are some of the job boards we talked about. Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, these are all the places you can post things. Construction.com, Craigslist, local chapters, professional associations, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, project management. There's a lot of places to post a job ad. Don't miss any of those or you're going to be in trouble, okay? Because it's not a good idea to skip anything. But you got to get the most people applying possible. And you can AI do that. Next, respond in real time. We talked about that earlier. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to probably double emphasize all this stuff. You got to do it in minutes, not days. And what happens to most people, especially construction, they put a job ad in and they just put it in Indeed. Go ahead. They apply. I'm going to questions. We're going to have time for questions in. They apply and you respond like a 3 or 4 days later and give them a call and they've already got a good job. So keep in mind, you've got to do this in real time. Yes. The next is a detailed assessment, okay? A detailed assessment, we have an assessment, I'll know more about your mom if you'll take it. Literally, you can tell from an assessment who they are as a person. We have what's called a predictive disc profile. It literally takes the people, takes their disc profile. Disc profile is a personality analysis. We have what's called a predictive disc profile. So we can tell what a personality profile for a project manager should look like, a bookkeeper. We have 40 or 50 different assessments we use. And the assessment can tell you several things. It can tell you who the person is as a human being, what their characters are. They can even tell you whether they lie, cheat, and steal. They have high character. We have a whole personality assessment. It literally takes a person, do they lie? Do they tell the truth? Are they consistent? Are they steady? Are they, negative, positive? With our personality assessments, we know all about this person. And since they're predictive, we can tell you whether this person is going to work out or not. And if you don't do assessments, you're missing the boat, in my opinion. Then you need to do an initial phone screening or interview. This, we do Zoom interviews. We have a place on our ATS where literally they can go in and do it on their phone. We structure the questions for each individual company, each individual interview. So in the job interview, we can make sure they're the right person for the job. There's some things we can't find out from an assessment. What do you look like? How old are you? That kind of stuff. Where in the Zoom interview, you can find everything you didn't know in the assessment. And it's really good to do a job interview. And again, when we do the video interview, we structure each of the questions depending on the individual and that position. I mean, things like how long you've been a plumber, or what did you want? How much compensation do you want? What experience you have in high-end residential. So we can ask all the questions you want to ask in a Zoom interview, which tells you everything you can't find out on the assessment. The next one is make a competitive job offer. That's crucial. Now, also, after you do the interview, just before in case I skipped it, you need to do reference checks and do background checks. You can't skip any of this stuff, because you skip anything and you're going to regret it in the future. Those are both critical. And then you make a competitive job offer, you ensure successful onboarding experience. So let's talk about AI, my new favorite thing. And that's how Al and I got together originally, to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. So let's talk about how AI would write a job ad. So here's prompt one. I'm just giving an example. This is prompt one for using Chat GPT to write your ad. I'm a $2 million remodeling company in Colorado. I do remodeling. I'm looking for an administrative assistant to help me do my job. You're the best copywriter on the planet. I need to add that this person, I need an ad that's going to get somebody to quit their job and come to work for me. So this be the best you can. So the more you tell it exactly what you want, who you're looking for, and who it is, it will do a better job. You can't do that. You've got to say, like, you're an HR specialist, you're a great copywriter, because it's going to take, the prompt is everything. And Al can say that. If you don't do the right prompt, you're going to get the right answer. So make sure you describe your company, what you're looking for, how much you're going to pay, and then who this person is a great copywriter, you're a good HR person. Make sure you've got that. Next is to be prompt two. This is for where you place it. Now list every job board I need to post this ad on. Do so and don't leave anybody out. Later I'll show the answers we came up with these prompts. Prompt three is, please write me three skills-based and 3 behavior-based key performance indicators for this position. You're an HR professional. You've been doing this for 30 years. Please write the base KPIs. It will write the KPIs for that position. It does a great job. Next, prompt four, please write 3-month onboarding plan by week for this position for the 3 months that ties to the KPI. So when you're doing this in Chat GPT, it remembers what the job position is. It remembers the boards it was applying on. It remembers the skills it's looking for. And now it does the onboarding plan because it remembers all this stuff. And so it just keeps going back to what you told it to begin with and comes up with the right onboarding plan. So here's the job ad that came up with from that prompt. This was the one from we told Chat GPT when we said write a job ad. It said, position, administrative assistant. We're looking at a dynamic, fast-growing $2 million remodeling company. This is not edited. This is straight out of Chat GPT. I didn't change anything. We're a dynamic, fast-growing $2 million company dedicated to reshaping the spaces of lives across Colorado. Our passion of excellence and innovation has made us a leader in the industry. We're looking for someone with zeal to join our team. An administrative assistant, you'll be a backbone of our operations, supporting our team that brings dreams to life through remodeling. The role offers more than just a job. It provides a chance to provide a creative movement that values members' contribution toward building stunning and functional living spaces. Why you should join us and impact work. Every day you'll be, this might seem overdone for an admin assistant, but it can't hurt, right? Every day you'll play a crucial part in transforming homes and making significant impacts in our clients' lives. Growth opportunities. With a growing business, your career will have. This was all straight out of Chat GPT. I didn't add anything. So you can do this if you want to. Just do the right prompt and you get the right answer. If you don't like it, you can change one. And then who are we looking for? Managed, prioritized preferably, possesses strong communication and personal skills, evolving problems. So this is what AI can really help you do. If you want to write a killer job ad, if you use the right prompts, it can write you a killer job ad, okay? The next one is, when we said, give us some job boards, this is what AI came up with. Again, this wasn't edited. It was Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Monster, ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, Simply Hired, Google for Jobs, Architect. These are all things that came out of Chat GPT on where you should place the ad. So you can ask it where it'll place the ad, and it will tell you the absolute place to place the ad. And then this is the KPI skills. I just said, remember the prompts you gave earlier? These are the solutions that came out of Chat GPT. I haven't edited anything. It was straight out of Chat GPT. So skills-based KPIs, improvement in organizational skills, accessibility, documents, including project files, client contracts, invoices, metric 95% retrieval efficiency rate, meaning that documents can be organized, accessible within 5 minutes of time frame, financial processing accuracy, accurate handling invoice, receipts, payroll processing, metric, maintain 90% accuracy on transactions, communication reporting effectiveness. These are skill-based. Indicator, timeless, active communication, especially preparing distribution reports and managing team preparations. This was also ChatGPT. Then we talk about behavioral things, demonstrates initiative in anticipating proposed solutions, ability to change and manage, team, collaborative environment. So this is something that AI is really good at, is writing KPIs for all your people. The next one is prompt for, let's see where we go back here, prompt for result. Introducing an orientation. So this was the orientation it came up with. I said, give an orientation. It had what they do day 1, introduce the company. Day 3, begin basic training, software documentation. Day 3, day 4, you go each day. And then week 3. And again, it remembered who, when you do this whole thing in a row, it remembers the job ad you placed, what you're looking for, where it was put, where the KPIs are, and it keeps remembering all this stuff. So when you ask it to write the onboarding, it does all this onboarding for you, okay? It will write all the onboarding process for you. And then we go to the next one, which is, again, week 7, process. Week 8 tells you review process. Week 9, 10, take full responsibility for administrative positions. So literally, this does all the hard work for you if you just let it do that, okay? Again, finalize, take ownership of all monthly, weekly outlines, interact with other people, etc. So it's really a good tool to do all that. Okay, now we have time for questions. So I guess, Al, since did this make sense to you, Al? Because you use this stuff all the time, right?
Yeah, in fact, I think the points you were making about the prompts is the key. I'm just in the middle of taking a prompting class now from IBM on how to write better prompts, but I showed at my AI seminar a really good prompt written by Prompt Perfect for how to get the AI to be an editor. And it's like so detailed. You are an editor, you do this, you'll be looking for grammar, you'll be looking for this, you'll look in the following order, you'll give me the answers this way. The more you prompt it carefully with what you really want and need, the better the answer you'll get. And so sometimes you have to prompt it 2 or 3 different times. I like the way you sequenced it. I think the point you made about as long as you're in order, it remembers. It only remembers if you add it to a previous session that
Right.
you had. So when you go into chat and you go back to that session and then you start talking about it, it's in that session, it remembers everything. If you go there and ask it a new question about the same subject in a new session, it won't know what you're talking about.
But if you look in chat, it remembers all the sessions. So you go back to the session. Let's say you didn't like the ad, you want to revise it. You can go back and say, look, if this ad isn't working for me, would you please revise the ad and kick it up a little bit? Or because you can go back and revise anything. It's like your new best friend if you know how to use it.
As long as you're in the right session.
As long as you're in the right session, that works really well. So the other thing, I would say, when going through the myths, AI has made it a lot easier to write ads, no doubt about it. A lot easier to write KPIs. We use all this stuff all the time. What you can do when you're trying to do it yourself is you're probably not going to respond to 300 applicants in real time. That's it ain't going to happen. Also, your assessments, you got to have killer assessments and know how to interpret them. because, how do we achieve like 95% of successful hires? Because we know all about this person. We do assessments, we do background checks, we do all the stuff you need to do. The reason the industry is suffering is it just sucks at recruiting. Maybe that's not good English, but you know what I mean? Like they don't follow the rules. It's sort of like you want a carpenter to build your house, but he doesn't know how to draw a straight line. It's probably not going to work, right? How to read a set of plans. So there are systems available that will do all this stuff. My suggestion is you hire somebody else to do it. But if you want to do it yourself, if you skip any of these things, you're going to be in trouble. If you don't get back to people right away, the good people are getting hired by somebody else. If you don't do the assessments, you're going to hire the wrong people. If you don't do background checks. In fact, you had a guy, client of mine, he hired a bookkeeper, fired her for embezzling, hired another bookkeeper, she embezzled. He went to the DA's office and said, didn't you realize the bookkeeper you just hired got fired from her last job for embezzling? I mean, crazy things like that, right? It's just, you've got to follow process. Just like building a building, you got to follow the plans or you're screwed. So this is the same kind of thing. Now, I'll tell you, I'll get our, we do this, we do it very economically. We have a lot of offshore labor. We use a lot of AI for all this stuff. And I can literally, recruit all the positions in your company for like $1,500 a month all in. And to me, if you're doing over $1 million a year, that's something you can afford. My biggest problem last year as an owner of this company was everybody would use this for 3 months. They'd find their people and quit. And I go, no, you need to recruit all the time. So I changed my pricing. So my pricing is $3,000 a month when we do a month at a time for 5 positions. But if you sign up for a year, it's $1,500. Because I think you should follow these rules. So whether you get us to do it or somebody else to do it, I mean, invest in building your team. Al, does that make sense to you?
Well, yeah, I used to have something called the 14 functions of a home building company, and my clients know that. And then I changed it to the 15 functions of a home building company because I added HR. And if you look at HR, and in fact, if you ask Chat GPT to tell you about HR, it'll talk about, I said, what are the key functions of HR? Well, recruiting and retention are the first 2 that it talks about. And
Right.
so, it's not, you guys can't really help them on the retention side so much, but it's not only about finding good people and getting them hired, but then you got to motivate them and keep them around. Otherwise, someone else runs the right ad and pulls them away and hires them away. You didn't keep up with the comp. You didn't make it a pleasant place to work. You didn't praise them. You didn't reward them. All
right. You probably don't even have KPIs for them, is my guess. And so it's, we can help you do all that stuff. We even have a system where we can, build up the KPIs for our employees. But I think what's happening in construction is that recruiting has been taken for granted. Like, oh, I'm just going to attract good people and come work for me. It isn't that way anymore. It's getting harder and harder to find people. It's like marketing. You can't ignore marketing and say, I'm just going to answer the phone and do a good job. With AI coming to the marketplace, and this is a little bit off subject, but I'm going to cover it anyway, that what's happening is a lot of capital coming into construction because AI is not going to put in your plumbing. It's not going to build a house. So areas where AI is disrupting the industry, like law, medicine, education, where literally if you're paying for information, AI is going to totally change that industry. And in construction, not as much. You may work for marketing and recruiting, but it's not going to build a house. So you got millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars coming into this industry. And where there used to be, in my opinion, pick a number, like 20 plumbers in a town, there's going to be 4 because they know what the heck they're doing. And so you've really, if you want to stay in this industry and stay current, you're going to have to use AI to do marketing, have to do recruiting. You're going to have to be better at business than you used to be, or these people coming in with a bunch of cash, you're going to kick your butt because you're just doing a better job. Is that not nice? You know what I'm saying, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is that it is going to change the industry. But the first slide I put up in my AI program is it says, Chat, give me a list of 4 places to catch big bass. Gives it to me. Then there's a picture of me catching the bass. Chat's not going to go out and catch the bass. It can only tell me where to go and how to do it, but it can't do it. And so a lot of these things, you have no choice. And I think, one of the reasons that I hooked up with Paul is Paul's system allows us to find people at a much more economical rate. I mean, we've used placement people. I have some people I use, but they charge $15, $20, $25, $30,000 because it's a very hands-on, time-consuming process. AI has the ability to change the way you do that process and change the cost that goes with it. So that's kind of how I met Paul, and we've done a few placements together. And we talked about his pricing paradigm where he was charging by the month for unlimited placements. And I said, for some people that's good, but some people only need someone once in a while. You got to give them an opportunity to pay by the placement. So he's got both pricing paradigms now that he can use with you.
Right. So question, are there any questions? We've been talking for a while. Does the audience have any questions about
Ask him, put the caveat on intelligent questions.
Intelligent questions. Well, I'm sure that's the point of view, right?
We're the sole arbiter of what constitutes an intelligence.
Intelligence. I guess that's true.
No one has an intelligent question. Well, that's a little frightening.
I'll go for not any questions at all. So maybe you can find people to call on. You're obviously here because recruiting's been an issue for you guys, right? So can you give me an example of like where recruiting's been an issue? I mean, you're having a hard time finding people.
Well, I could give you another interesting. I have a client in Michigan, and he reached out to me about hiring a selections coordinator, and he'd had some interior designers that didn't work out. And I told him that's the worst person to hire because they're all so creative. They don't want to follow the rules and follow the process. They want to go out and make every house like an adventure in selections. And so I had AI give them a list of places to go and similar jobs. We described the skill sets, and it came back and said some of the things it told him, like these people would make good coordinators. He was shocked, but it really gave him a much bigger array of people to look at.
So look, we got Peter, we got Shine. So I'm sure you guys have some recruiting issues. I could pick on
a question, but
Sure.
I wasn't sure if I understood it. Are you able to obtain past reference? Is it like past references? Is that what you mean, Sean?
Yes. Seems like people don't want to confirm anything other than the hire date, fire date, maybe the salary.
And
They're afraid.
They're afraid to because they can get in trouble for it. I mean, we do the best job you can of finding out, but it does show up. It is an issue, Sean, that where people like have a hard time. But we call them up, we talk to them, hey, what do you think? And sometimes they'll do that. But you should at least make your best effort to find that out, to try that out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Norm, Mark, some of you guys, I'm sure you have some issues about how to recruit people, right? That's why you're here.
Pete, you usually ask intelligent questions. You got any questions?
I don't have anything intelligent now.
Okay, well, just a question. I'll do with any question because you guys are going through this all the time. I
Hey, I have
guess.
a question, Paul, someone's joining. How does everyone retain their employees? Or is everyone like, you just don't need to hire anyone right now?
Well, I guess, I could do a show of hands here. Did any of you have the worst employee? The one who's not bad enough? Out of all your employees, is there somebody who you wouldn't rehire if you'd start your company over again? So Justin, anybody that? Norm, Mark, anybody have anybody that wouldn't rehire? You have to say that.
Everybody's got one of those.
Everybody's got one of those.
Right. And the reason you keep them is because you haven't got somebody better to take their place, is my guess.
Or you're afraid that you won't be able to find that person.
Or you're afraid
Yeah, and sometimes you dance with the devil,
Right. And see, because you as contractors as a group are really not good at hiring or building a bench, you live with mediocrity because it was so hard to find the guy. You finally found him. He sort of worked out. He's not that great, but you know how hard it was to find him. You think how hard it is going to be to replace him. You go, I do not want to go through that again. And I will just, as you said, dance with the devil I do versus the devil I don't. And I think it's a mistake, because 9 times out of that person goes away, your company just gets better. But if you have a marketing budget, I mean, a recruiting budget, I mean, most people, I guess people in my guess, most of the people in this meeting do not have a recruiting budget. Is that a fair thing? You don't have, go ahead.
They don't.
Because
Yeah.
it's the most important thing in your company. And you think it's going to magically happen, like, oh, what's it? You know, it doesn't happen that way. I'm telling you, I've done this. That's one thing I've learned in 5 years of doing this and hiring thousands of people. It doesn't just happen magically, and one ad in Indeed does not cut it. You've got to go through this whole process. And most of you are going, oh, I don't do it. I don't want to certainly answer all those people. I don't write the job ads. And so you live with mediocrity. And I think it's a bad idea. And it's not that hard to change, you know? I mean, if you look at, pick a number, $50, it's not much money to have a great team. And you've got to invest some money in building your team. It isn't for free. And I've been fighting this battle like ever since I started the company. I've been a coach for 40 years. And it's the same problem. Oh, I'll live with John. He's not that bad. Or, you know, I try to hire somebody. It's like, yeah, I got this resume, I got to answer. And you look at it as this huge, horrible task, and that's why you don't do it. And yet there are ways to do it now that are way faster, efficient than you to be. Get somebody else to do it. You don't have to pay 30% of the first year's salary. It's a lot cheaper than it used to be.
I mean, you gave the by the way, Norm has a question. We'll answer in a second, Norm.
Okay.
You had the analogy of the sports team. You know, you look at the NFL, it's like every year, it's like who's going to go and who's going to come. Because if we can upgrade, then we're going to make the hard decision to let somebody go. And I think that's part of it. Nobody likes to fire people. That's not pleasant. That's not fun. And you feel bad, and, you know, you're putting someone on the street. But on the other hand, you have an obligation to make your company the best company that it can be.
Right. And so
Yes.
Norm had a question?
And Norm asked about behavioral KPIs. What can you talk about behavioral KPIs?
You go to Chat GPT, you give the job description, the company, what you're looking for, and then just ask Chat GPT, please develop 3 behavioral and performance KPIs for this position, and it'll do it for you. And then you look at those and see what you like and don't like. That's the easiest way to do it.
And by the way, because of the secret with AI is iteration. If you don't like the 3 and you only like 1, just tell it, give me 3 more. Give me 5 more.
But don't forget to tell it that it is a great HR person. It's been studying HR for 20 years. It's the world's best HR. You got to tell it who it is. And then it will take that assumption and write you the great KPIs. But don't forget to tell it it's an expert in HR before you do that.
You always want to tell it who you are and who it is acting as.
Right. It will make it way easier.
Hey,
When
Paul. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
The
I'm
prompt
sorry.
that
I
I
don't
have
know.
to be a great editor and copywriter, it starts off and it said, you are a world-class editor and copyright editor. And you are an expert in grammar, language, spelling, punctuation. It lists all these things. So it knows what you're looking for.
Right. That's key.
Hey, Paul, we do have a question from David. Well, it's a comment, and it's actually a great comment, that they have a harder time finding field staff because they're not just hanging out on Indeed. Can you give them a little insight in how we find field staff, or how, our best?
Well, first place, put it everywhere. You can even, if you ask ChatGPT, it will design a poster for you to put in your supplier's office. Literally, it will do that for you. It's sort of like you've got to really work at it. You just can't put an ad in Indeed. We hire tons of plumbers, electricians, carpenters all the time. We put it, sometimes ZipRecruiter works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're probably not in, LinkedIn. That's how we're going to find them. There's a lot of, like, sometimes there's trade schools. You've got to get creative on your search. One ad doesn't cut it, but we've hired lots of plumbers, electricians, carpenters, painters. A lot of those people you can't call too late at night because they won't answer the phone. You got to get back to them at dinner. But, I hired 136 carpenters and nobody spoke English. It was a big framing contractor I worked with. And we hired 136 framers in 4 months and nobody spoke English. Nobody. So we did the ads in Spanish. We put them on Facebook, responded in Spanish. Everything was in Spanish. And we hired, and they all worked out fine. Because the guy that spoke Spanish was a lead guy. So he didn't have to speak Spanish to work there, to get you didn't have to speak English to do the job. So you've got to adapt to that market. But think about, where you're going to find a plumber, you're going to find an electrician. There's places. I mean, you just got to work at it. It's not an ad and Indeed and you're done.
Mark asked the question, can anyone access this AI site? Chat GPT is available for free, but I would recommend you spend the $20 a month for the subscription version. It's far, far superior.
Right. And that's like no money. That's lunch, not even lunch in some places.
I asked about 50 people at the convention, and only 2 had the paid. All the others were. I kept saying, "But Al, it's $20 a month." I'm like, one better answer is worth $20. That's crazy.
That's insane. Like it's, you've heard this story. Somebody says, "I got all this gold. Why don't you get yourself some?" And some guy says, "You know what a shovel costs?" It's like the same analogy, right? Come on. It's a no-brainer expenditure. Does a lot of other stuff too. And the good news and bad news, guys, is if you don't adapt, you're going to be in trouble. Because the aging force, if you don't get better at recruiting, I give you an example, and it might be a fun example, but I talked to a guy we're going to work with, and he has, pick a number, $10 million. He wants to invest in place. He's going to start a roofing company in Nebraska. He says, I know nothing about roofing. I don't really care. He goes, because I know marketing and I know recruiting. I can go into Nebraska, and the guys in the business in roofing, they're old guys, they're going to retire. The young guys don't have any money. They totally screw up their marketing. They don't know how to find people. I will literally spend money in this market. I will do the marketing. I'll find the experts, and I'll own the market for roofing in Nebraska in 4 years. And he's probably right. He knows nothing about roofing. And that's happening more and more because there's a bunch of cash coming in this industry, and they're not going to play the player. They're going to do whatever it takes. And if you don't come up to, the standards in increase your marketing, recruiting, they're going to buy you or put you out of business. And it sounds sad, but it's changing industry. I've been in this industry 40 years, and this has never happened ever. You've been in a long time, Al. What do you think?
52 years.
That's more than me.
The changes are pretty profound. It's very, Jennifer writes, Chat GPT is free, but the pro version is $20. It's also the best. I've used many different AIs. I actually use another one that I pay for called Claude, who for more technical or weighty questions, I actually like Claude. If it's about words and writing words, and I like Chat. If it's about math and things related to that, I actually like Claude. But I also like to give the same problem to both and see how they answer a little bit differently.
Right.
And sometimes from the two, I'll take the answer from one and feed it back to the other.
Yes, I've played around with that too. It's so interesting.
It's very.
And I'm gonna have a little fun here since we got a little time. I'm gonna see if I can show. I'm technically handicapped. I'm gonna try something. This is totally inspired. I'm gonna see if I can escape this program. Hold on.
My internet's slow. Otherwise, I'd have my.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to sharing my screen things. I'm gonna go to new chat. Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna do this for fun. Somebody come up with a position they're looking for. Come on, some of the audience, come up with a position.
Elections coordinator.
Well, I want the audience here. Come on, guys. Come on.
Right.
Somebody
carpenter.
What?
Trim carpenter.
Trim carpenter. Now tell me about your company.
Design, build, luxury, high-end homes.
Where?
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Okay. So I'm going to say I'm a design, build, luxury builder in, where were you?
Minnesota.
Okay.
St. Cloud.
In St. Cloud, Minnesota. I need to look for a trim carpenter. This guy has to really know what he's doing and also be able to work on high-end residential homes. I need an ad that's going to get him to quit his job and come to work for me. I pay fair compensation, and it's a great place to work. You are the world's best copywriter. You're the world's best marketing guy, and you're going to write me an ad that's guaranteed going to work and get this guy to quit his job and come to work for me. Please write this ad. Okay, is that close enough?
Yeah, I like it. I think we could take that, modify some minor things throughout it.
All right, now I'm now going to go this. I'm going to say, please say where I should place this job ad and don't miss anywhere. Okay. Now we're going to move on and say, please write the KPIs for this job. I went 3 behavioral and 3 performance.
My favorite part is this.
Now
And
I'm going to,
you can dig, just go a little deeper. And now watch this. Number 2, tell it on number 2, give me 10 specific things that to indicate their performance.
on number 2, give me 10 specific things to indicate their performance and be very exact.
And now I turn my camera on, but it tells me the host won't let me.
Really? I'm the
I know, I
host.
thought maybe you didn't want to see me.
Hold
Yeah.
on. That's weird. That's a weird setting.
Okay. And then another one we're going to go just for fun. I'm going to say,
I'm seeing if I can figure it out.
develop a 3-month onboarding plan for this position week by week.
That's awesome.
Dave, I spend an hour a night with the thing.
Your new
Sure, your
best-
wife loves that.
She does. I usually end, my last one is, tell me what I should tell my wife about the hour that I just spent with you.
Right. That's true. There you go.
What I love about AI the most is the ability to iterate and keep getting deeper and deeper into any subject. What Roselle and I call going down the rabbit hole.
Right. Now I'm going to do something.
Really
This may or may not work. This is totally impromptu. I'm going to see if it's going to work. Okay. Because the spelling is going to suck on this, but the vision should be good. Please design me a poster to put in my supplier's office to attract this person. Make it look pretty.
Right. It usually messes up the wording, but the image will be good.
But the,
Right.
the new model should be getting a lot better with the vision. I don't know if it's out yet, but it'll eventually be able to do exactly what you're asking for.
And that's Michael Burdett.
Sure.
He's my partner in Real Torch, which is
Where
an
is it?
AI-based home building tool.
Where am I? Where am I going? So do you have the poster yet? Where's the poster? I'm looking for it. Where'd it go? I'm going to say now.
Oh, it made the actual like line items for the poster.
I need to say,
Yeah.
Picture.
please give me a visual of the poster. I want to see a picture.
Sometimes, guys, you have to talk to it 3 or 4 times. You see it? It should go slower. There you go. That's going to be a picture now.
No, wait a minute. It skipped it, I think. Where'd it go? I didn't do it. But you can get it to do a picture if you wanted to.
Tell it, say use DAL-E to create the poster.
Okay, I'm going to say, please use DALL-E to create the poster. I screwed up. Let me try again. Please use DALL-E to create the poster. Oh, come on. I can't talk. I can't type's my problem.
Just say draw the poster now. That's
Okay, let
fine.
me try that. Let's see. Let me get rid of this. I'll try that. Okay, here we go. I'm stuck
If
here.
it
Let me-
works.
Why am I stuck in this? Hold on.
Right now.
Okay, let me get rid of, let me stop share. Give me a second here. I gotta go share screen. I'm gonna go back to here. Share. Wrong share. Hold on, wrong one. Stop share. So I'm gonna go to share. Go to let's see, I'm gonna go, I can put in Chat GPT. So go to here. Where is Steli? Share. I keep sharing the wrong thing. I'm not a technical person, but it will actually do a poster for you if you ask it. It'll design the poster. You just got to keep messing with it, right? So I think it's a great tool that if you're going to remember anything about this seminar is one,
Well, there's that many people.
recruit all the time. Don't do it yourself. And use AI to help you write the job ads and stuff. But if you get somebody else to do it for you, it's gonna be way better. Recruit all the time and you'll be able to solve the problem, I believe. So that's what I've learned after, hiring thousands of people and doing this. And, there's a saying that says, a smart man learns from his own mistakes and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So be wise and not smart.
I got it to draw a poster just real quick, just so you can see for
Okay,
fun.
go for it.
But it was just like, you see it, right? Where is it? Is it say struggling?
Just
Struggling
job.
Yeah, we can see it.
Right.
It's the struggling job ad, right? Obviously it's not perfect, but it was just like, I just like playing around with it. So,
Right. So,
you
I
can
mean,
keep reading
you
it.
need to get familiar with it. It's really important. It's a great tool. And if you guys have any interest, I think my personal email's in here. It's paul@paulsanneman.com.
You put that in.
My phone number is 415-599-9006. Keep in mind, I'm in Hawaii. I am in Hawaii. So the time zone wise. And I'll be happy to help any of you learn how to do this because it's going to be crucial to your future. I use the example, Elon Musk is a really smart guy, but the reason he is who he is because he knows how to build teams. It's all about building teams. And the most important thing you can do as a contractor is build a great team and put whatever resources you need to do that. Don't ignore it. Put some time, put some money, because you know better than your team. And you just can't I'm going to ask Juan's friend and it's all going to work out. It's not that way anymore.
Well, those of you who are my clients know that every visit costs money extra because I make you give raises to all the employees. Because the worst thing that can happen is we get a lot of turnover, and the cost to replace a good employee leaves, it costs you $100,000 in lost productivity. And then when you go get the new guy, he's always more expensive than the guy you left.
Right.
Plus all the disadvantages of starting over. Every once in a while, it's a trade up, but most of the time, not.
Right. So, I mean, just invest some time and money in recruiting. It'll make a big difference. And if you recruit all the time and you have a bench, you'll always have great people to choose from. And the cost is nominal. I mean, let's say we charge you all in 17 grand a year. If you're doing over $1 million, that's nothing to ensure that you have a great team. It's cheap. And that's why I price it this way, because I think everybody that's doing over $1 million a year should have ongoing recruiting and do it right.
Hey, Paul, I know we're late, but I missed a question. And if anyone needs to go, please do. But here, I found the question and it was, hold on, I think it was, I apologize. I'm putting it back in here. We're having a hard time hiring sales team members who are fully commissioned team members. What do you recommend for hiring for a position like that?
We have hired a ton of commission-only salespeople. You just got to put it right. But when you do the ad, you have to say something like base plus commission, and you work that out, and you can figure out the base could be minimum wage. But there's ways of writing the ad that'll attract the right people. And we probably hired 100 sales commission people, and it works out fine. We've got roofing companies, plumbing companies. We've had a lot of salespeople. So if you do it right, you'll find the right people. But you have to write the right ad. Got to put it together well, but it's certainly doable because we hire a lot of salespeople.
Okay. Well, Paul, thank you so much I wanted everybody to see, sort of as a follow-on to my AI presentation at the convention, what AI can do on the HR side.
Right. And everybody who's attended, we'll be happy to send you a copy of this video so you can the prompts and stuff. And so we'll make sure that all of you get a copy of what we just presented. And if you have any questions, give us a call. We'll go from there. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much.
Appreciate being here. Have a good one.
Everyone will find it.
Bye.
Help.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.